Have you ever gone no contact? Finally started to feel like you're regaining your power, and then suddenly out of nowhere, he pops back up, liking your posts, sending a hey text, or even acting jealous. You think, wait, is this a test? Spoiler alert, yes it is, and it's more calculated than you think. Welcome back to the channel where we decode male behavior, so you don't have to second guess your worth. Today we're diving into something almost no one talks about clearly: why men test you after no contact, and more importantly, what those tests actually mean. Because here's the truth no one's saying. When you go no contact, you flip the power dynamic. You stop chasing, you stop reacting, and he suddenly realizes he's no longer the center of your world. That shifts everything and it shakes him. But instead of coming back with honesty, many men will test you first. He wants to know, does she still care? Can I still get a reaction? Is she really over me? This video will break down those hidden motives and the psychological reasons behind his behavior straight, no fluff. You'll finally understand why he's acting distant one minute and flirty the next, and how you should respond to gain even more power, not lose it. If you've ever been stuck in that confusing in-between, where he's watching your stories but not texting back, then stay locked in, because by the end of this video, you won't just understand him, you'll be 3 steps ahead. Let's get into it. When you go no contact, you might feel like you're doing nothing. You're not texting, not calling, not watching his stories, just silence. And at first, it feels uncomfortable, maybe even powerless. But in reality, no contact is one of the most powerful psychological moves you can make, because men aren't used to it. Most guys are used to a pattern. Breakup happens, emotions flare, and even if she says she's done, there's still a part of her that reaches out. Whether it's a late night message, a passive-aggressive story, or just liking one of his posts, he expects some form of contact. So when that doesn't happen, it throws him off. At first, he might act like he doesn't care. He might even double down, posting thirst traps, acting unbothered, or pretending to live his best life. But behind that ego, he's starting to spiral. And it happens in stages. Stage 1 is confusion. He notices the silence. Maybe it takes him a few days or a week, but at some point it clicks. Wait, why hasn't she said anything? This is when your absence starts echoing in his mind. Men aren't always quick to process emotion, but silence is loud. It creates a vacuum that he tries to fill with assumptions. Stage 2 is curiosity. He starts checking your page, watching your stories, asking mutual friends how you're doing. Maybe he doesn't reach out yet, but he's trying to figure out what your silence means. Is it indifference? Is it strategy? Are you with someone new? He's not sure, and the not knowing drives him nuts. Then comes insecurity. This is the stage where he realizes she might actually be over me. And this is when he starts to test you, not out of strength, but out of fear. A like here, a subtle view there. Maybe even a breadcrumb text, like hope you're doing good. He's probing, trying to see if he still has access to you. Because if you respond, it means he still has power. If you don't, that insecurity deepens. And here's what makes no contact so impactful. It forces him to sit with the consequences of his actions. If he messed up, if he took you for granted, if he expected you to just be there no matter what, your silence breaks that illusion. It shows that you respect yourself enough to walk away without begging. And that's magnetic. Most women don't realize this, but men often revisit relationships long after they've ended, especially when a woman holds her boundaries. That distance creates mystique. It gives him time to reflect, and it challenges his ego in a way that few things do. Because here's the truth. A man may move on from a woman who constantly chases, but he will always remember the one who disappeared with dignity. That's what no contact does. It's not a game. It's not manipulation. It's a reset. It gives you space to rebuild your self-worth and allows him to see the real value of what he lost. Not because you told him, but because you let the silence speak for you. And in that silence, a shift happens. He stops seeing you as the girl who needed him and starts seeing you as the woman who chose herself. And once that hits, that's when the tests begin. Because now he wants to know if he still matters to you. So if you're currently in no contact and wondering if it's working, trust me, it is. You're doing far more than nothing. You're sending the clearest message possible without saying a single word. And that message, I don't chase, I attract. When a guy starts testing you after no contact, it's rarely obvious. He's not going to come right out and say, hey, just checking if you still care about me. No, that would make him vulnerable. And most men, especially the ones who struggle with emotional maturity, will test you in subtle, sometimes frustrating ways. These tests are designed to see where you stand without giving him away. One of the first signs is when he sends a random low-effort message. Something like, hey, you good? Or even just a reaction to your story. It feels casual, almost meaningless, but it's not. That tiny message is him dipping his toe into the water to see if you'll bite. If you reply quickly or emotionally, he registers it as, yep, she's still hooked. If you ignore it or respond in a neutral, detached way, it hits his ego harder than you think. This isn't a real conversation. It's bait, and he's watching your reaction more than your response. Another sign is when he brings up a random memory or inside joke from when you were together. You'll be minding your business and suddenly he texts, remember that night we got caught in the rain downtown? At first it feels sweet, nostalgic even. But look closer. He's not just reminiscing for fun. He's trying to trigger your emotions, to see if you still associate him with warmth, comfort, or longing. If you respond sentimentally, it reassures him that he still has a place in your heart. That's the test. It's emotional fishing. Then there's jealousy. He might start acting jealous or possessive, especially if he sees you glowing up online or talking to someone new. Maybe he comments on your post with something sarcastic. Maybe he asks around about who you've been seeing. Or maybe he posts a story with another girl just to provoke a reaction. It's all performative, and it's all a test. He wants to see if you'll react out of emotion, if you'll confront him, or even if you'll try to win him back. The moment you engage, he gets the confirmation he was looking for. You're still emotionally invested. Another way he tests you is by suddenly pulling back after engaging with you. Maybe he texts you out of nowhere, has a little conversation, and then poof, he disappears again. That hot and cold behavior is designed to confuse you. He wants to see if you'll chase, if you double text, if you ask him what's wrong or where he went. Every move you make after his withdrawal gives him data about your emotional state. If you don't chase, you pass the test. If you start spiraling, he knows you're still attached. And finally, he might test you by apologizing. Kind of. Not a real full apology, but something vague like, I know I wasn't the best to you, or I messed up a lot back then. It sounds vulnerable, but don't be fooled. He's still testing the waters. He wants to see if you're still open to him emotionally. If you say something like, it's okay, I've moved on, he'll take it one way. If you say, I still think about it too, he takes it another. Either way, you're giving him clues about whether or not the door is still cracked open. These tests aren't always conscious. Sometimes guys don't even realize they're doing it. It's ego, pride, fear of rejection, and curiosity, all tangled up. But one thing's for sure, when you hold your ground, don't overreact and stay calm and mysterious. It shifts the dynamic. He's trying to measure your emotions, and when he can't read you, that's when he starts to feel you the most. After no contact, and especially once he starts subtly testing you, there's something deeper happening underneath it all. He's not just checking if you're still around. He's watching to see how you're showing up. What kind of energy you're giving off? Are you still the same woman he walked away from? Or have you evolved into someone he can't quite figure out anymore? Whether he admits it or not, what he really wants to see is whether or not you still care, but not in the obvious way. It's not just about if you'll text back. It's about how you respond. He wants to know if you still have that emotional softness for him. He wants to feel like he still matters, even if he doesn't plan on fully coming back. In a way, it's validation seeking, wrapped in emotional strategy. He's also looking to see if he still has power over you. This might sting a little, but it's true. If he can trigger a reaction, whether it's excitement, jealousy, anger, or longing, it gives him a sense of control. It makes him feel significant again. That's why your silence during no contact rattled him so much in the first place. It took away his emotional power. What surprises him most is when you don't act the way he remembers. Maybe before you would have jumped to reply. Maybe you used to over-explain, over-apologize, or try to fix things even when it wasn't your fault. Now, you're calm. maybe a little colder, more emotionally neutral. That's what shakes him. Because now he's dealing with a woman who has standards, who's protecting her energy, and who no longer hands out emotional access for free. He wants to see if you're still emotionally reactive, but more than that, he wants to see if you're still available. Emotionally, mentally, energetically, not just through texts or posts, but in your overall vibe. Have you moved on? Are you entertaining someone new? Are you still healing? Or have you leveled up? Even your confidence or lack of it communicates something to him. And it goes even deeper. If he's thinking about coming back or reconnecting, even casually, he's observing how you hold your boundaries. Are you still easily persuaded? Would one little apology or late night message be enough to get you back in his world? Or have you raised the bar so high that he'd actually have to show up as a better version of himself to be allowed in again? That's the ultimate test for him. He wants to see if he could still have you without doing the work. And if the answer is yes, he might lose respect. If the answer is no, and you maintain grace, calmness, and high standards, that's when the respect comes back. That's when he starts to realize he can't just walk in and out of your life anymore. So even if he doesn't say it out loud, here's what he's trying to figure out. Do you still miss me? Do you still love me? Will you let me in just because I came back? Or will you require something more: growth, consistency? He wants to see your emotional temperature. But if you're smart, you won't let him get an accurate read, because mystery is powerful. A woman who's no longer predictable is a woman who becomes magnetic. And when he sees that you've become the version of yourself he never thought you'd be strong enough to become, that's when he starts questioning everything. That's when the shift happens. Not just in how he sees you, but in how he sees himself without you. When he finally reappears after no contact, whether it's through a text, a like, or a full-on message, it can feel like a victory. Like all your patience, silence, and inner work finally paid off. And while that moment can be incredibly validating, it's also exactly when most girls make their biggest mistakes. Why? Because emotion takes over and logic goes out the window. One of the most common mistakes is responding too quickly. He sends a text and within seconds your fingers are typing back. It's natural to want to reconnect, especially if you've missed him. But responding too fast tells him you've been waiting. It communicates that he still has easy access to you. No growth required. And the minute he senses that he can come back without any resistance, he mentally lowers your value. Harsh truth? Yes. But it's how many guys operate. Another mistake is trying to pick up where you left off. You treat his reappearance like a restart instead of a reassessment. Maybe you joke around like you used to, fall back into old flirty patterns, or open up emotionally right away. But that just shows him that nothing has changed. There's no new standard, no boundary, no elevation. He sees that he can come back and slide into the same emotional space he had before without earning it. Then there's the mistake of over-explaining your feelings or what you've been through. You feel like this is your moment to finally be heard, so you pour your heart out, hoping he'll understand or appreciate your pain. But to him, this can feel overwhelming, or worse, like you're trying to guilt trip him. Vulnerability is powerful, but when it's unfiltered and unearned, it can come across as desperation rather than strength. Another big mistake is assuming his return means he's ready for something real. A lot of girls mistake a simple message for a full-blown reconciliation. But most of the time when a man reappears, he's still testing. He's still unsure. He might miss the attention, the comfort, or even just the idea of you. That doesn't mean he's done the work to be a better partner. If you rush into reconnecting without clarity, you set yourself up for the same cycle. Again, the truth is, a man coming back doesn't mean he's changed. It doesn't even mean he wants you back for the right reasons. Sometimes he just wants to know he still can get you. And once he knows that, he might disappear again, leaving you more confused and hurt than before. So when he reappears, the key isn't to reject him, but to observe. Stay calm, stay detached. Let him show you why he's back and what's different this time. Because if you treat his return like a reward instead of a responsibility, you hand over the power you worked so hard to reclaim. Let your actions say, I'm not the same girl you left behind. If you want access to me again, it's going to take more than a message. It's going to take consistency, effort, and proof. And if he's not ready for that, let him go again. This time with even more strength than before. When he reappears after no contact, you're not just facing him. You're facing a version of yourself that remembers the hurt, the waiting, the hope. And this is where your real test begins, because staying in control isn't about being cold or playing games. It's about staying connected to the version of you that grew during the silence, the version that stopped settling. The biggest key to keeping your power is not losing yourself the moment he comes back. It's easy to slip into old patterns. You feel that rush, maybe relief, maybe excitement, and you start texting constantly, hoping, wondering, analyzing. But remember, the power you built didn't come from clinging. It came from choosing yourself first, even when it was hard. So now, your energy has to reflect that. Stay grounded. Respond. Don't react. Just because he finally decided to show up doesn't mean you need to roll out the red carpet. Take your time. Be intentional. Don't feel pressured to prove anything or fill the silence with over-explaining. Let him do the work of showing you who he is now. Another way to stay in control is to have clear internal boundaries. That means knowing what you're available for and what you're not. Maybe you're open to a conversation, but not willing to fall into late-night texts that go nowhere. Maybe you're open to reconnecting, but only if there's real consistency, effort, and clarity. Having boundaries isn't about building walls. It's about protecting your peace. And when you enforce those boundaries calmly and unapologetically, that's when he knows you're not the same woman he used to take for granted. Also, don't underestimate the power of emotional detachment. That doesn't mean you stop caring or shut off your heart. It means you observe more than you absorb. You see his words, but you watch his actions even closer. You don't jump to conclusion. You take your time before giving any emotional access. That emotional neutrality is magnetic. It shows him that you're not desperate, you're discerning. Staying in control also means having your own life, your own passions, your own schedule. The more you make yourself the center of your world, the less power anyone has to shake it. Keep doing the things that made you feel alive during no contact. Keep your routines, your glow-ups, your goals. A man should complement your life, not become the reason for it. Another powerful shift, choose curiosity over attachment. Instead of thinking, I hope he's serious this time, switch your mindset to let's see what he does. That curiosity takes the pressure off. You're not hoping or assuming, you're observing. And in that space, you stay emotionally safe while still open to possibility. And finally, remember this. He's not the prize you are. You've already done the hard part. You walked away. You stayed silent. You chose self-respect. Now your job is to protect what you've built. You don't have to chase, explain, or compete. You just have to stay rooted in your worth. Because real power isn't loud. It doesn't need to prove itself. It's calm, quiet, confident. It knows what it brings to the table. And if he wants to sit there again, he has to come correct. Not because you told him to, but because your energy leaves no other option. Keep your crown on. Don't shrink back into who you were just because he reappeared. Stay the woman you became in his absence, and let him rise to meet you. Pulling back is one of the most powerful moves you can make, but only if it's done from the right place. It's not about manipulation. It's not about playing games. It's about energetically resetting the dynamic and reclaiming your value when it's been overlooked. Because human psychology is simple in one key way. People often don't appreciate what's always available. When you pull back, you interrupt a pattern. If he's used to you always being there, always replying, always forgiving, always proving your love, he becomes desensitized to it. You become background noise, emotionally predictable, and the mind craves stimulation, novelty, challenge. So when you suddenly become less accessible, it triggers a shift in his emotional brain. He feels the absence and it activates something primal, the fear of loss. This is where psychology kicks in. In relationships, we tend to assign value based on perceived scarcity. If someone is always giving, always present, we subconsciously assume their presence isn't valuable. It's just expected. But once it's gone, once they're quiet, pulled back, mysterious, the brain starts to ask questions. Wait, why did she stop? Is she over me? Did I lose her? That uncertainty creates tension. And in human dynamics, tension creates interest. Because you're not going to beg for clarity. Because you have things to focus on that matter more than inconsistent attention. That's when the shift happens. That's when your silence starts to speak louder than your words ever could. Pulling back is a mirror. It reflects his effort, or lack of it. And it forces him to either confront what he's been taking for granted, or walk away, which tells you everything you need to know. Either outcome is a win for you, because you're no longer building a connection on false hope or uneven energy. The psychology of pulling back isn't about silence, it's about power. It's about interrupting the cycle where you give too much and receive too little. And the moment he realizes that your love is no longer a given, he either rises or reveals that he was never meant to be beside you long term. Let your absence be felt. Let your peace speak louder than your presence ever did. And trust that the man who's meant to match your energy will never make you question your worth again. The first thing to understand is this. You are not obligated to respond just because he messaged you. Just because he finally decided to reach out doesn't mean you need to welcome him with open arms. You have every right to protect your peace. In fact, not responding is often the most powerful response when his message is vague, non-committal, or lacking accountability. But if you do choose to respond, make sure it's from a place of emotional clarity, not emotional hunger. Ask yourself, am I answering because I truly want to, or because I'm afraid of losing him again? The truth is, desperation speaks louder than words. And if he senses you're still emotionally attached or waiting, it is in the power to control the pace again. If his message is casual or confusing, it's okay to mirror his energy. Keep your response short, calm, and light. No over-explaining, no digging for meaning. Let him take the lead if he's serious. Your job is to observe, not over-invest. A simple, hope you're doing well, or hey, what's up, is enough. If you choose to reply, let him show you why he's back. Let him earn the deeper version of your energy. Another powerful thing to remember is that sometimes not responding is the closure. You don't owe him access just because he showed up. If his return stirs up old pain, trust yourself enough to protect your healing. Silence can say, I've moved on, I don't need this cycle anymore. It's strong, it's clear, it's final in a way that no words ever could be. But whatever you decide, responding or not, do it from a place of self-respect, not emotional reaction. Don't fall into the trap of sending long emotional messages, trying to make him understand your worth. If he didn't see it before, your words won't make him see it now. Your energy, your distance, your glow, that's what speaks. This is your moment to show him, without begging, without explaining, that you've evolved, that his reappearance doesn't shake you, that your world doesn't revolve around whether or not he texts back. You are in control now. So take a breath, center yourself, and ask, which version of me am I about to respond from? The girl who hoped or the woman who healed? Your answer will guide you to the right choice every time. If you've made it to this point in the video, take a deep breath, because you've already done something powerful. You didn't just watch for answers. You showed up for yourself. And that's what this whole journey has been about, whether he's testing you, texting you, or trying to come back into your life. The real question isn't what he wants, it's what you want, what you deserve, what you're not willing to compromise on anymore. You see, no contact was never about punishing him or making him chase you. It was about reclaiming your peace, your clarity, your sense of self. And now that he's reaching out, you're standing at a crossroads. Do you fall back into the old dynamic, or do you set a new standard for love, respect, and emotional safety? Here's what to do next. Pause. Don't rush into a decision. Don't let excitement or anxiety speak for you. Let your growth lead. Replay the patterns in your mind. Ask yourself, has he shown real change or just temporary interest? Is he meeting your energy or just responding to your silence? Then choose based on truth, not emotion. You've already proven to yourself that you can detach, you can heal, you can rise. So don't lower your standards. Just because he came back, make sure he rises to meet you. That's how you stay in control. That's how you keep your power. And if you're still feeling unsure, that's okay. Keep doing the inner work. Keep showing up for yourself. The more rooted you are in your worth, the clearer everything becomes. Just remember, it's not about getting him back. It's about never losing you again. You've got this. Your energy is magnetic. Your growth is showing. And whatever comes next, you're more than ready for it.